The 538 electors in the Electoral College got together today and voted in their state capitals in most cases to further make it official that Joe Biden is in fact the president-elect of the United States. He did in fact win the general election. I feel like we, in some ways, cover the same story, just in different flavors. But again, this is another blow to Donald Trump and his team, who of course failed to provide any evidence of widespread voter fraud. It's abundantly clear that Joe Biden is in fact the winner. And so what's the next step? Well, at this point, the ballots will be sent to Congress. They should be there by December 23rd. And then the House and the Senate will deal with it on January 6th. That's when they will be counting those ballots by the electors. Now, I should also note that, well, actually, before I go on with possible consequences for Republican lawmakers who went along with Donald Trump's lies about widespread voter fraud, Cenk, I wanted you to jump in and share your thoughts about Biden being announced as the winner yet again in this election cycle.
My first thought is this: down goes Trump, down goes Trump. Officially, down goes Trump. The Electoral College has voted, it is over. Joe Biden has more than 270 votes. He will have 306 by the end. This is as official as it gets. So no ands, ifs, or buts, except of course, Trump in his utter humiliating desperation, trying to find a way around it. He's sending out his goons on TV to go, well, maybe we'll do different slate of electors anyway. Dude, it's over. They already voted. The actual electors already voted. Maybe we can do it. Maybe we can get Congress to deal it for us. At this point, their tears are delicious. Guess what, Donald? One more time. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. Okay. ShopTYT.com. I love that shirt. I wear it at every opportunity. I do laundry more often just so I can wear the "You're Fired" t-shirts that I have. ShopTYT.com. Rub it in his face. Yes, I'm super happy about it. And guys, last thing before we give you the rest of the story about the consequences, is that look, the reason we keep telling you about all these different stages is because at every stage, Trump tries a new layer of the coup. Now this slow motion political coup has come to an end. They didn't get the memo. People like Karl Rove got the memo. They're saying, you're beginning to look like a sore loser. Really beginning to? Okay, but at this point he looks just downright pathetic, which I'm here for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're luckily both now on the same page when it comes to this coup attempt, because I think that one of the biggest disagreements that you and I had was I thought that there was like maybe 0.5% chance that it would work, but I was already on the camp of let's just clown him. This isn't serious. It doesn't make sense. So now you're no longer concerned, and we can have fun by dunking on Donald Trump and his goons. We can tag team it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, can't wait. You know me. Collecting MAGA tears daily for Too Strong Coffee. Yes, ready.
All right. So now let's move on to what I think makes a lot of sense regarding the Republican lawmakers who signed on to Attorney General from Texas, Ken Paxton's lawsuit, which he filed with the Supreme Court, arguing that the votes from 4 battleground states should have been thrown out because of widespread voter fraud. Of course, there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud, and the Supreme Court totally rejected the case, right? So, which again, further solidified the fact that Joe Biden did win the general election. Now, there were about 18 representatives, Republican congressmen from these 4 battleground states who signed on to that lawsuit, who were supportive of that lawsuit, and who believed that it was the right thing to do to throw out the votes of their own constituents because they wanted to go along with this ridiculous talking point by Donald Trump and his supporters. And so I want to show you who these people are and give you a little sense of what Representative Bill Pascrell is arguing. So if you look at the list, 18 representatives, Republican representatives from Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And so here's what Bill Pascrell wants to do. He argues that today I'm calling on House leaders to refuse to seat any members trying to overturn the election and make Donald Trump an unelected dictator. And he cites the Constitution in order to make this case, arguing that the text of the 14th Amendment expressly forbids members of Congress from engaging in rebellion against the United States. Trying to overturn a democratic election and install a dictator seems like a pretty clear example of that. So the argument here is do not swear in these Republican congressmen who signed on to what Ken Paxton had filed with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, so now here comes a rebellion. And in this case, ironically, a rebellion back. So Pascrell makes a great point. He's like, look, it's literally in the Constitution. You can't support sedition against America, an actual open political rebellion. And that's the 14th Amendment, obviously, in the aftermath of the Civil War. And so they were passed it to say, hey, you can't commit treason and then come and be elected as part of the United States of America that you rebelled against. And in this case, it was pretty close to literal, where they said, we don't want democracy. We do not want you to count the votes of Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. We want you to throw away all those votes and declare Trump king. And so they say declare him president, but if you're not counting the actual votes, no, you'd be declaring him king. So Pascrell's right in and of himself, but Rebellion PAC in a new petition is adding on to that point, okay? And it's the petition is at enforcethefourteenth.com, enforcethefourteenth.com, and we'll put it in the description box below where we have our links if you're watching this later on YouTube, Facebook, and other platforms. So it's basically saying, look, if you guys think the election is fraudulent, well, then obviously we shouldn't sit you in Congress because you just told us your own elections were fraudulent. We didn't say it. We're going to sit everyone who thinks the elections were fine. But since you're saying, hey, this election was totally fake and we should not count it, why would we seat you? That makes no sense. We're just doing you a favor by following through on what your demand is. Now, in the case of the 18 that are specifically in the 4 states affected, well, you guys all signed a petition, or in this case, it's not like something that's online. No, you went to the Supreme Court and said our elections in these 4 states were totally fraudulent. Well, then of course we can't sit you. You just declared your own race as fraudulent. It would be malpractice of Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House to sit at a bare minimum, even if you put aside the 126 overall Republican congressmen. By the way, that's about 2/3 of all of the congressmen, Republican congressmen right now, okay? But the 18 that are in the 4 affected states that said my election was a fraud, there's no way you should sit them. We should at least debate this in Congress. Should we or shouldn't we? And maybe if the Rebellion PAC petition gets a ton of signatures, it could wake some people up and have them go, yeah, wait, why do we always unilaterally surrender? That's the whole point of Rebellion PAC. No, we fight back. We should actually fight back against Republicans. So, and it highlights the coup they were trying to do. It is politically savvy. It is the right framing. So that's why rebellionpac.com is doing it. And that's very likely why Democratic leadership at the end will not do it. But I want to give the most credit, though, to be fair, to Bill Pascrell, a congressman who is not necessarily the most progressive, but one of the biggest fighters in the Democratic Party. And I sincerely appreciate that.
Absolutely, and I'll just add one more thing about these Republican lawmakers. Again, 126 of them, which is a pretty devastating number when you consider what they're willing to put on the line for their own political careers and to remain in this good graces of someone who lost the election, Donald Trump. Even at this stage in my life, after covering like years and years of stories involving self-interested politicians who don't really care to do the right thing if it means that it's going to harm their political careers in any way. To put your name on a document like this essentially dismantling our democratic process. But also, more importantly, remember, these are representatives from states where they're advocating for throwing out their votes. Like, oh, I represent you, you're my constituent, but your vote doesn't matter because I'm being bullied by Donald Trump, because I'm intimidated by Donald Trump, because I'm scared about what his voters might do. I'm afraid that they might harm my political career in some way. These are not people who are fit to represent anyone, because they don't care to represent anyone. They only care to represent their own self-interests. It's insane, and it's just so depressing to see. Look, I know what the Republican Party is. I know what politicians are, but at the same time, if you had asked me to make a prediction or guess whether or not something like this would happen, I wouldn't guess that this many Republican lawmakers would put their name on a document advocating to throw out their own constituents' ballots because they're afraid of Donald Trump. It's just really sad. I mean, it's a catastrophe, 100%.
Yeah, and in fact, today, just a little while ago, Republican Congressman Paul Mitchell said, "That's it. I've had enough of the Republican Party. I'm leaving." And he said, despite the fact that I voted for Trump in this election and I voted with him in Congress 95% of the time, I agree with his policies. I am deeply right wing, and I totally agree with Trump's policies. But I didn't sign up for a coup. He didn't say the word coup, but he said, I didn't sign up to destroy our democracy and to say to people that your vote doesn't count. That's crazy, and I'm out. But so far, 3 Republican congressmen that have said that publicly, they're all outgoing. They've either retired or lost the primary, because if you're still a Republican, the Republican voters love the idea of a dictator. So you cannot openly say that you're for democracy if you're a Republican elected official anymore, unless you're leaving office.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.